What if I told you that everything you've believed about aging and muscle loss might not be true? My name is Walter. I'm 72 years old, born and raised in Ohio, a retired fire chief who thought he had seen it all until the day I couldn't get up off the couch without using both hands and a grunt loud enough to scare my dog Max. That was the day it hit me. Maybe I wasn't just tired. Maybe something deeper was happening to my body. I used to think losing muscle was just part of getting older, that creaky knees and weak legs were like gray hair and wrinkles unavoidable. But here's the real kicker. It's not. It turns out, there's a hidden cause behind that slow fade in strength, and once you understand it, you can actually fight back. I'm not talking about joining a gym or lifting heavy weights. I'm talking about something much simpler. Something you can start doing this week, maybe even today. You see, muscle loss, what the doctors call sarcopenia, isn't just about age. It's a sign, a blinking warning light on your dashboard. Your body isn't betraying you. It's whispering, telling you something is off inside. And for many of us, it begins not with a bang, but with a slow, subtle change. You sit a little longer. You take the elevator instead of the stairs. You stop opening jars. And then one day, you realize you're afraid of getting out of a chair without help. That's not aging. That's muscle dysfunction taking hold. And the worst part? Most of us don't notice until it's too late. But here's the truth no one told me at my last checkup. You can rebuild what you've lost. There's one nutrient-packed food that can help flip that switch in your body back on. We'll get to that soon. But first, I want to walk you through what's really happening under the hood. I'm going to explain the silent condition that robs you of your strength, steals your energy, and makes your golden years feel like anything but golden. But I don't want you to feel scared. I want you to feel hopeful, because there's a way out. I know because I've lived it. This isn't about chasing youth or trying to look like you're 30 again. It's about standing strong enough to lift your grandkid, walk your dog, or just get out of bed in the morning feeling like yourself again. Let me tell you about the day everything changed. I had just come back from my daughter's wedding in Portland. It was beautiful, but I spent most of it sitting. My knees ached. My lower back felt like it belonged to a man 20 years older, and I barely danced. On the flight home, I remember thinking, is this it? Is this who I've become? A week later, a friend, an old paramedic buddy named Rick, told me about something he'd learned at a health seminar. Not a pill. Not a supplement. A simple food. Something that's been around for generations but had quietly slipped out of our diets. And when I added it back into mine, that's when things started to change. In the next section, I'll share the science of what was happening inside my body and maybe inside yours too. But I want to leave you with this. You are not broken. You are not too old. And it's not too late. Stick with me. We're just getting started. After that conversation with Rick, I started digging. I may be retired, but once a fire chief, always a problem solver. I wanted to understand why my body was failing me, and what I discovered changed everything. There's a condition that sounds like something only researchers care about, but it's stealing muscle from millions of people over 60, and most of them have never heard of it. It's called anabolic resistance. Sounds technical, I know. But let me put it this way. Imagine your muscles are like a factory. When you're young, that factory runs like clockwork. You eat a steak, go for a walk, lift a few things around the house, and your body responds. It uses that protein, that movement, to build and maintain strong, active muscle. But after a certain age, usually around 60, the factory starts to ignore the signals. You eat the same food, do the same activities, but the machinery doesn't turn on like it used to. The workers inside are there, but they've stopped listening. That's anabolic resistance. It's like your body is asleep at the wheel. And here's the cruel part. You don't feel it right away. It's not like a broken bone or a pulled muscle. It's subtle. One day you notice the stairs feel steeper. You stop carrying heavy groceries. You start hesitating before standing up. That was me. I didn't feel sick. I felt slower, stiffer, weaker. I thought I was just getting old. But that wasn't the whole story. Science now shows that this resistance is not inevitable. It's driven by things like inflammation, changes in hormones, and even how your body processes protein. But the biggest shock? It's reversible. Yes, you read that right. The moment I heard that, I felt a surge of something I hadn't felt in months: hope. Rick had told me about a clinical study where older adults just like us started making tiny changes to their diet and saw real results. Not overnight, but enough to start standing taller, walking farther, and feeling like themselves again. They weren't bench pressing at the gym. They weren't on extreme diets. They were just fighting back against a problem most doctors don't even mention. You see, anabolic resistance isn't some rare disease. It's happening to people like you and me in neighborhoods all over America. Folks who served in the military, taught in schools, ran their own businesses now wondering why simple tasks feel like mountains. But you're not crazy, and you're not helpless. Once you understand the signals, you can start waking the factory back up. That's what I did. I started eating differently. I adjusted when I ate, not just what. I added a specific type of protein, one we'll talk more about soon. And slowly, the lights started coming back on inside that factory. Now, let me be clear. This isn't magic. It takes consistency. But it works. I remember the first time I stood up from my recliner without using the armrests. It sounds silly, but I swear I sat back down and stood up again just to prove it wasn't a fluke. I laughed out loud. Max barked. I was coming back. In the next part, I'll tell you about something else that's crucial: the hormone that runs the whole nutrient delivery system. Without fixing that, even the best foods won't get where they need to go. But for now, remember this. Your muscle loss is not a life sentence. It's a message. And now you know how to read it. I didn't think much about insulin when I was younger. To me, insulin was something diabetics had to worry about. I had no idea it played a role in how my muscles functioned or why I was losing mine. But once I learned the truth, it all started to make sense. Insulin is more than a blood sugar regulator. It's the gatekeeper that decides where nutrients go in your body. When it works well, insulin helps shuttle protein and amino acids straight into your muscles, giving them the raw materials to grow and stay strong. But when it doesn't, that's when the cracks begin to show. As we age, something strange happens. Our cells stop responding to insulin the way they used to. It's like trying to unlock a door with a key that no longer fits. You might be eating enough, even eating well, but the nutrients can't get where they're needed most. That's called insulin resistance. And guess what? It's one of the biggest reasons older adults lose muscle even if they think they're doing everything right. I learned this the hard way. After I started eating better and moving more, I expected to bounce back quickly. But I hit a wall. I felt stuck, like I was putting in the effort without getting the reward. That's when I met Dr. Lawson at a community health talk. She looked me straight in the eye and said, "Walter, if your insulin isn't doing its job, your muscles are starving no matter how much you eat." That hit me like a ton of bricks. She explained that fixing insulin sensitivity wasn't just about avoiding sugar. It was about helping my body become efficient again. Stable blood sugar, quality sleep, walking after meals, timing my protein. All of it mattered. So I started with small changes. I cut out the soda I still had now and then. I swapped white bread for whole grain. I added short walks after dinner, even if it was just around the block with Max. Within a few weeks, something shifted. My energy improved. I wasn't crashing in the afternoons, and slowly, I started feeling sharper. More importantly, my muscles began responding again. It was like someone had flipped the switch back on. Because here's the secret. Muscles aren't just about lifting weights. They're about using nutrients efficiently. And insulin is the courier that delivers the package. If your insulin isn't working, your muscles are sitting there waiting for a shipment that never arrives. That's why so many older adults feel like they're spinning their wheels. They're eating, they're trying, but their bodies aren't absorbing. And no one's telling them why. But now you know. And here's the best part. Improving insulin sensitivity is not just possible, it's powerful. It affects your brain, your metabolism, your energy, and yes, your muscle. In the next part, I'll tell you about one of the most overlooked but essential nutrients your muscles crave, a special amino acid that sparks the muscle-building process like gasoline on a fire. Without it, you're just treading water. But with it, you've got ignition. But until then, let me leave you with this. Your strength isn't just about willpower or workouts. It's about creating a body that's ready to respond. And when you help your insulin do its job again, your muscles will finally get what they've been waiting for. Not long after I started improving my insulin sensitivity, I began feeling the difference in small but powerful ways. I had more energy in the mornings. My hands didn't shake when opening the pickle jar. But the real turning point came when I learned about something even more precise, something that works like a spark plug for your muscles. It's called leucine. Before you roll your eyes at another scientific word, let me explain. Leucine is one of the essential amino acids, meaning your body can't make it on its own. You have to get it from food. But leucine isn't just another building block. It's the switch. The moment it hits your bloodstream, it flips on a process called muscle protein synthesis, the body's way of saying, all right, let's rebuild. Think of it this way. You've been trying to rebuild your house. You've got bricks, protein, you've got tools, insulin, but you're still waiting for someone to say, go. Leucine is that foreman. No leucine, no progress. I first heard about it from a podcast. A retired Marine was talking about how his post-service strength was crumbling until a sports nutritionist explained he wasn't eating enough leucine. That same day, I dove into research and found it repeated again and again in clinical journals. Older adults need more leucine than younger folks to trigger the same muscle-building response. That's when it clicked. I wasn't weak because I was old. I was weak because my body was waiting for a spark that never came. So, I looked at my meals. Eggs? Good start. Chicken? Sure. But to get the right amount of leucine, I needed smarter choices. That's when I discovered something I hadn't eaten in decades, grass-fed beef liver. I'll go into that deeper soon, but just know this. It's one of the richest sources of leucine you can eat. The first week I added it in, I didn't expect much, but I was wrong. About 4 days in, I took Max for his usual evening walk. Normally, halfway down Oak Street, my knees would start complaining. But that night, I made it all the way around the block 3 times before realizing I hadn't felt a single twinge. Now, I'm not saying leucine is magic, but I am saying it's essential, and most people over 60 aren't getting nearly enough. See, as we age, our bodies become stubborn. They need louder signals to get moving. Where a younger person's muscle might respond to a small dose of protein, older muscles need a bigger push, and leucine provides it. It's not about eating more steak or gulping down protein shakes. It's about precision, timing, and giving your body the specific nutrients it actually needs. That's what finally helped me climb the stairs again without grabbing the railing. That's what made me feel like I could shovel my own driveway after years of hiring teenagers to do it. In the next part, I'll tell you exactly what food helped me supercharge my leucine intake. An old-school, all-American powerhouse that's been quietly pushed aside in modern diets. But before we get there, here's what I want you to remember. You don't need to train like an athlete. You just need to eat like someone who's ready to rebuild. And leucine? That's your ignition key. It had been years, decades, really since I'd eaten liver. Back in my childhood in Indiana, my mother would fry it up with onions on Sunday nights. I hated it then. The smell, the texture, the way it lingered. But after everything I had learned about leucine, I found myself standing in front of the butcher's counter at a small market outside town, pointing to a tray labeled grass-fed beef liver. "Old school choice," the butcher said. "Smart man." I didn't feel smart. I felt desperate. But I also felt curious, because all the science pointed to this forgotten food as one of the richest sources of not just leucine, but also vitamin B12, iron, and a host of other nutrients that aging bodies crave. I took it home, pan-seared it with garlic, and ate a modest slice. The taste brought back memories I didn't expect. Cold winters, my dad's heavy coat on the back of the chair, the way Mom used to hum while cooking. But more than nostalgia, it brought something else: fuel. Beef liver is a nutritional powerhouse, especially when it comes from grass-fed cattle. It's dense in leucine, about 2.9 grams in just 3.5 ounces. That's the amount your muscles need to trigger growth. But it doesn't stop there. Vitamin B12 helps form red blood cells and supports energy production, which is crucial when your goal is to move again. Iron supports oxygen transport, giving your muscles the endurance to keep going. Add in vitamin A, folate, and zinc, and you've got what I now call muscle food for grown folks. I started eating it once a week, sometimes twice. Not in giant slabs, just enough to tip the balance. And week by week, things changed. I stopped feeling winded after bringing in groceries. I started walking max farther. I even helped my neighbor Roger move a couch into his truck, something I hadn't done in over 5 years. You see, liver isn't some old-fashioned relic. It's a precision tool packed with nutrients that fill the exact gaps most people over 60 unknowingly develop. And when those gaps are filled, your body can finally do what it's been waiting to do: rebuild. I've told friends about it. Most raise an eyebrow. But when they try it, when they really commit to just a small serving once a week, they call me a few weeks later, sounding surprised. "Walter," they say, "I'm not tired anymore." Or, "My legs feel stronger." Or even, "I finally stood up from my recliner without groaning." That's the power of real food. Not packaged promises or miracle pills, just something your great-grandparents probably ate without question. In the next section, I'm going to show you how to time your meals so your body gets the maximum benefit from everything you eat. Because as important as what you eat is, when you eat, it can be just as crucial. But first, I'll leave you with this. If you feel like you're fading, don't reach for another energy drink. Reach for something real, something your body recognizes, something with the strength of generations behind it. Start with a slice of liver. It might just change your life like it changed mine. After I'd gotten used to eating beef liver once a week, usually grilled lightly with some onions and a side of roasted sweet potatoes, I noticed something strange. On the days I ate it earlier in the day, I felt sharper, steadier. My steps had more spring. But on days when I had it at dinner, the benefits weren't as noticeable. That's when I started learning about when we eat, not just what we eat. And let me tell you, timing matters more than most people think. Your body runs on a rhythm. It's called your circadian clock. It controls everything from how alert you feel in the morning to how your body digests food. And guess what? Your muscles follow that rhythm too. When you wake up, your body is naturally more sensitive to the signals that build muscle. It's like a window has opened. And if you eat a protein-rich meal with enough leucine, say, a couple of eggs and a small serving of beef liver, your body uses it far more efficiently than if you waited until dinner. I remember testing this myself. For a full week, I made sure to get at least 30 grams of high-quality protein before 10 in the morning. That meant a couple of pasture-raised eggs, some Greek yogurt, and sometimes a few slices of that liver I'd come to appreciate. By day 5, I felt it. I was more awake, less achy, and my afternoon crashes disappeared. But it wasn't just about breakfast. The next big breakthrough came when I started spreading out my protein evenly across the day. Instead of cramming all my protein into dinner, like so many of us do, I aimed for about 30 grams at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The result? My body stopped dipping in and out of repair mode. It stayed ready, always fueled, always building. That's when I started calling it my 3-meal muscle plan. Not complicated, not extreme, just consistent protein, balanced through the day, with enough leucine in each meal to flip the switch. Let me be honest. This goes against everything I used to do. I used to skip breakfast, snack at lunch, then feast at night. But that rhythm was working against me, not for me. My body didn't need all that fuel late at night. It needed it when I was up, moving, alive. And here's something I didn't expect. Once I started eating this way, I slept better. My digestion improved. My mood lifted. Even my morning walks felt smoother, like my joints had been greased overnight. That's the beauty of working with your body, not against it. Now, don't get me wrong. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight. Start simple. Add more protein to your breakfast. Don't skip meals. Pay attention to how your body responds. Over time, you'll find your own rhythm, one that matches your life and fuels your strength. In the next part, we'll explore something even more surprising. How muscle doesn't just help you move, but helps you think, heal, and even age slower. It's not just tissue. It's your body's secret weapon against everything from diabetes to dementia. But before we go there, remember this. Your body is listening, not just to what you feed it, but when. And when you get that timing right, every meal becomes a message, one that says, I'm not done yet. When I first set out to rebuild my strength, I thought I was chasing something simple, like being able to carry groceries or stand up without help. But somewhere along the way, I realized this journey wasn't just about movement. It was about staying alive, staying me. Because here's the truth most people don't hear at their checkups. Your muscle mass is one of the strongest predictors of how long and how well you'll live. Let me explain. Muscle isn't just for athletes. It's not about vanity or bulk. It's your body's command center for health. The more muscle you have, the more efficiently your metabolism works. That means better blood sugar control, lower inflammation, and reduced risk for diseases like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and even cognitive decline. I remember a moment that hit me hard. I was reading an article from a Harvard research study that found older adults with greater muscle mass had significantly lower risk of death from all causes. All causes. Not just heart attacks or cancer, but falls, infections, even hospital recovery time. Suddenly, the small victories, standing taller, walking farther, waking up with less pain, took on a deeper meaning. I wasn't just adding strength, I was adding years, and it goes beyond numbers on a chart. Stronger muscles mean stronger bones. That means fewer fractures, fewer hospital stays, fewer fears of falling every time you step in the shower. It means you can keep walking to the mailbox, driving to the store, visiting your grandkids without a walker or wheelchair. It means independence. But there's more. Studies now show that muscle mass is directly linked to brain health. Why? Because movement improves blood flow, reduces inflammation, and stimulates growth factors that protect neurons. In other words, building muscle helps keep your mind sharp. I felt that firsthand. The more I moved, the clearer my thoughts became. I started remembering small things again, where I put my keys, the punchline of a joke, the names of old friends I hadn't called in years. It wasn't dramatic. It was subtle, but it was real. And then came something I didn't expect. Joy. Yes, real joy. Not the kind that comes from finishing a to-do list or checking your blood pressure, but the deep, human kind that bubbles up when you feel alive again. When you can dance a little in the kitchen. When your grandchild says, "Grandpa, you're strong," and you know they're right. That's the part no one talks about. We focus on meds, charts, and diagnoses, but we forget to talk about what muscle gives us emotionally. Confidence, dignity, a sense of possibility. That's why I tell everyone I meet at the senior center. Don't think of exercise as punishment. Don't think of food as restriction. Think of them as tools. Every rep, every step, every bite of the right food, that's you choosing life, choosing vitality, choosing to stay here, in this world, as yourself. In the final part of this story, I'll give you the exact tools and steps I used to bring it all together. The routines, the meals, the mindset. But for now, know this: you are not too old, you are not too late, and you are absolutely worth fighting for. If someone had told me 5 years ago that I'd feel stronger in my 70s than I did in my 60s, I would have laughed. But today, as I zip up my jacket and head out for my morning walk 3 full laps around the neighborhood, rain or shine, I realize this journey has taught me more than how to regain strength. It's taught me how to live again. Let's be clear. This didn't happen overnight. It wasn't about one food, one exercise, or one magic moment. It was a combination, a quiet, consistent rhythm of daily choices that built into something powerful. So if you're wondering where to start, here's what worked for me. First, eat like your muscles matter. That means high-quality protein 3 times a day, each meal packed with at least 2.5 grams of leucine. That's what tells your body, let's build. Grass-fed beef liver? A game changer. But also don't overlook eggs, Greek yogurt, wild-caught fish, or even a good quality whey protein. Second, move daily but move wisely. You don't need a gym. You need resistance. That could be bodyweight exercises, like wall push-ups, squats holding a milk jug, or resistance bands in your living room. I started with 5 minutes a day. Now I do 30 split morning and evening. Third, respect your rest. Muscle doesn't grow during the workout, it grows during recovery. 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep every night. No screens in bed. A cool, quiet room. A light dinner with enough protein. And finally, maybe most importantly, believe that it's not too late. I've met veterans, retired teachers, single mothers, and widowers in their 70s and 80s who've turned their lives around once they decided they were worth it. I remember one man in particular. Jerry, 76. Former truck driver. Spent years sitting, eating gas station food, watching his legs weaken. He started slow, just eating breakfast with protein again, then a walk around the block, then liver once a week. By month 3, he was lifting grocery bags again. By month 6, he was dancing with his wife at their anniversary dinner. He didn't need a transformation. He needed permission to try. So here's your permission. Not from a doctor, not from a fitness guru. From me, a 72-year-old man who thought his strong days were over. They're not, and neither are yours. This isn't just about muscle. It's about reclaiming control, rebuilding confidence. Knowing that aging doesn't mean giving up, it means showing up, day after day, for the life you still want to live. So if you've followed this far, let me thank you. Thank you for believing in yourself. Thank you for choosing hope over resignation. Thank you for letting me be part of your journey. Now, take the first step. Maybe it's cooking that slice of beef liver. Maybe it's a 5-minute walk. Maybe it's standing up without your hands and saying, I can, because you can, and I'll be right here, cheering you on.